It's noon here in Ventnor, New Jersey and Bethesda, Maryland, and this is news that you can use for Monday, May 22nd with your hosts, Zach and Ray, or Ray and Zach, whatever order you prefer it in.
More face, Dad. We got more face.
I can't give you more face. That's more face than any human being should possess.
Yeah, you do. Okay, so here's the deal. Happy Monday, everyone. Want to let everyone know, CarEdge reports still free. We're going to keep them free for a little while longer. So if you haven't checked it out yet, caredge.com/report. It's actually going to tie in really nicely with the topic for today, Dad. Used car prices, they're still too high. And this is getting kicked off from an email I got this morning from Axios. They dug into, Dad, the data from Edmunds last week. Let's break this down just a little bit, and there's plenty more to dig into from here. By the numbers, we talked about this last week. Just 30.6% of used vehicles were sold for less than $20,000 in the first quarter of this year, down from 60.5% in the first quarter of 2018. What Edmunds did here, though, and what Axios pulled out, is they did a comparison of what a $20,000 budget meant back in 2018 and what a $20,000 budget means today. And this is where it's like, whoa, this is where it really becomes real.
Yes.
A $20,000 budget today means settling for an older car with more mileage. Here's a look at what $20,000 gets you now as compared to 5 years ago per Cox Automotive data. For a Honda CR-V, Pops, in 2018, you would get a 3-year-old model with 34,000 miles on it.
And today?
In 2023, a 5.7-year-old with 56,000 miles on it. Yeesh.
Doesn't sound good for the consumer, does it?
Ford Escape in 2018, you're getting at a sub $20,000 price point, a 2.1-year-old model with 29,000 miles. In 2023, a 4.3-year-old model with 42,000 miles. A Subaru Crosstrek. Look at this, man. A Subaru Crosstrek. In 2018, you're getting a 1.7-year-old model with 30,000 miles on it. In 2023, you're getting a 5.7-year-old model with 59,000 miles on it. The unbelievable crisis here isn't that car prices are too high across the board. They are. The unbelievable crisis is at this affordable price point of under $20,000. You're getting less car and spending more money.
Yeah, that's a trend we've been seeing going on for 3 years now, and a trend we've been commenting on for 3 years now. And it's a trend that, as it continues, takes more and more people out of the marketplace. It spells the end of vehicle affordability for a huge portion of the American public. It is for those who can afford to pay the least. It makes it more difficult than ever for them to be able to come up with reliable transportation, to be able to get them to that job that underpays them in comparison to what it takes to live in this country today. So those that can afford to pay the least are hurt the most. And we just continue to seem to be going down this path, whether it be the prices of new cars or the prices of pre-owned cars. It is inherently unfair to those who can afford the least.
And how are automakers responding, Dad? Well, let's just change the eligibility of certified pre-owned. So we've seen automakers do things like this. Honda Acura expands CPO vehicle age eligibility to 10 years. When you worked at Acura, Dad, what was the eligibility for a certified pre-owned vehicle?
Might have been 6 years at that time. Okay, so to add 10 years to it, and what are they adding in the form of warranty coverage? Are they adding a year and 12,000 miles? So if you're buying a 10-year-old car that has 120,000 miles on it, you get maybe 1 year and 12,000 miles worth of warranty protection. And goodness knows you're going to need more than that on a 120,000 mile 10-year-old car. It is just, and you're going to pay a premium to get a manufacturer certified pre-owned vehicle. that could still end up making it not affordable for most people. It just it's just continuing to exacerbate the situation as we know it.
Yeah, it really is. And we see some of the comments in the chat. For example, where was it here? Where was it? It's inflationary forces from all sectors. Yeah, that's part of it. We've got from
Yes,
Mark saying he bought a 2015 Escape with 68,000 miles for $15,000. So it really is at that sub $20,000 price point, your money doesn't go quite as far. And then the automaker solution, Hyundai is another
yes,
example of this. They increased their CPO requirements that it's up to 60,000 miles or 80,000. No, it's 80,000. Wow, I've got it right here. Let me pull this up on the screen.
yeah.
Like, think about that for a second. Hyundai will actually certify pre-owned a 6-year-old vehicle with up to
Wow.
80,000 miles on it. I
There
mean,
you have.
they're trying to find ways. They're trying to find ways to justify, hey, these are safe cars. You shouldn't be, turned off by them. Oh, and it has a CPO. That's why it's priced more. It's taking people out of the market, unfortunately, from reliable transportation.
Absolutely, it is.
I was playing around, Dad, with our own Data Explorer, another free tool. It's the Data Explorer works. The Data Explorer works. It's a little bit hit or miss if we get too much volume on it, but it's free. Anyone can use it. And I was just plugging away, Dad. 2017 Toyota RAV4s. Look at this. Look at this. You're in Mississippi. The average price for one of these right now, listed price, is $27,870 for a vehicle with 70,000 miles on it.
Reminds me of that Jeep we looked at last week, that 2018 Jeep with 241,000 miles on it for 19 grand. It's
Look at these numbers, Dad. Look at the mean mileage column. A lot of them are over 70,000. And then
yeah,
look at the
absolutely.
mean price. And the price is obviously north of $20,000 for a 2017 RAV4.
That's a 6-year-old car. Soon to be a 7-model-year-old car.
I mean, these numbers are just ridiculous.
Indeed, they are.
Let's do it for the cross-check really quickly, because we saw from the Cox Automotive data, they were
Yes.
saying, I'm very curious to see this. Oh, see, that's where it breaks.
You broke it.
Got too many people using it right now, so it broke. But we can try again a little bit later. That's what happens when you build stuff for free. So that's the real crisis, Dad, is in that $20,000 price point. And then on the news side, there's not many options that actually fit there. Even if deals are below MSRP, again, there's not sub $20,000 price points.
No, and if I remember the data correctly, it was less than 1% of all cars, all pre-owned cars, that were offered less than $20,000, offered for sale at less than 1%. Okay, that's crazy. That's just if you have a child that's going off to college and you want to be able to provide them with a decent automobile to take as their first vehicle to college, you're going to have to spend somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 to do that. When in the past, you might have been looking at somewhere between $7,500 and $10,000 to get a somewhat decent car to do that in.
Yep.
Today it's 2 to 3 times that. It just really sheds light on that chasm between those who can afford to do things in this country and afford to buy things and those who can't. And it is really skewed in favor of those who can. And as I said before, those who can afford to pay the least are going to get shut out altogether. They're going to buy absolute crap in order to get around. And then when it breaks down and they can't get to their $10 an hour or $12 an hour job, what are they supposed to do? I just don't get it.
And then what's interesting, Dad, is we've got the latest data from the industry side. So, for example, from Manheim, and let's pull this up on the screen. So this is specifically with used cars. So let's read this. This is the Manheim monthly update. Used vehicle market slows. So let that sink in for a second. Wholesale values have declined in the first half of the month. This is obviously for the month of May, as we start to see more normal depreciation patterns. So far in May, we are seeing retail sales lower versus 2022 levels, but they picked up a little against the end of April. While we are seeing some softness in the market, we want to be clear, make it clear the sky is not falling.
It is not.
Affordability continues to be a key issue. The Fed raised rates again in May for the 10th consecutive time. Interest rates plus higher inflation equals consumer strain. We cover that on the daily.
Yes.
Economic uncertainty continues to drive caution about the economy and our markets, from banking issues to interest rates to debt ceiling discussions. Discretion is the better part of valor. That's a great way to describe it. So when you look at the industry side of this, you have, I know this is tiny on the screen, but you actually have wholesale values of used cars going down. And
Yes.
Manheim says, Dad, that wholesale values, or excuse me, retail values are actually down 5% from the beginning of this year. When we were looking at the Edmunds data, they said that over the past 5 years, used car prices have gone up 50%. They've come down 6% so far this year. So the two roughly corroborate one another. It just puts into perspective how high things went up, which is, I haven't done my plug yet today, caredge.com/sell. If you got a car sitting around, go sell the doggone thing, because used car prices are still through the roof.
And they will continue to be through the roof because there are less decent quality used cars available for dealers to bid on, for consumers to purchase, than there normally would be. We know that used car inventory levels are well below where they had been in the past for this time of year. And that should continue for the foreseeable future because there's fewer trades. There's actually fewer people in the market. Even though there's fewer people in the market, sales are still pretty strong at most stores because those people who are in the market are willing and able to pull the trigger on a vehicle at the moment, on a deal. It's just, it harkens back to the stake bet that we have, that yes, wholesale values are going down, yes, retail values are going down slightly, but they are nowhere near the type of pricing that we would normally have expected to see. The increase in retail values over the past 3 years has been so out of the norm that a 5% decline in retail prices means nothing to most people because the vast majority of the vehicles still remain unaffordable. And I don't know, yes, there'll be a steak dinner in my future, whether I pay for it or somebody else pays for it. But I really believe that this is the new normal. We live in a time where historic norms don't mean anything anymore, where we could look back at past data and say that ain't gonna fly in today's world. What we think should happen hasn't been happening, and what I thought was going to happen for the longest period of time hasn't happened, because in the past, when these things occurred, you would see prices go down, you would see profits go down, you would see availability go up, and we haven't seen any of that. We haven't seen anything that indicates that the market is going to normalize to what we were used to pre-COVID. And I still don't see anything that would indicate that.
Well, we don't see eye to eye on this one. That being said,
yes, that's okay.
Look at the new car side of things. There's a reason that we're saying new cars are a better value right now, because you know what's happening? New car inventory is starting to stockpile, and there are incentives again from manufacturers. Yes. Yeah, in some regions and for some makes. So I think we are starting to see some of the historical trends, which is, oh crap, people aren't buying our cars, probably because we increased the MSRPs by 10, 15, 20, 30%. We need to incentivize them again. So I do think we're starting to see some of the mechanics of how this industry has traditionally worked, which is OEM wholesales vehicles to dealers floor plan them and pay interest on inventory that's sitting. Dealers get pissed off at the OEMs for giving them too many cars. They have to lower prices. So we are seeing that on the new car side with certain brands.
Yes.
We're not going to see it anytime soon with others, and especially on the used car side. But I'm afraid to say that what has happened in the past won't be a predictor of what can happen in this future, because we are seeing it, Dad. We are seeing it. Just depends on the region, depends on the automaker. So the switch is happening. The flip is happening, I think.
It's so minor that it means nothing. In the grand scheme of things, it's just,
yeah.
There's not. Yes, the amount of incentives is up to about 3.6% of the transaction price on average. But on your most popular brands, the most desirous brands, Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, Kia. Who am I missing? But there's others that are in short supply. Their incentive spend in most cases is less than it's ever been per new vehicle sold.
Yep.
The incentive spend increase that we've seen happens to be on the vehicles that nobody wants. I remember years and years and years ago when manufacturers first started coming out with 0% interest. And customers used to come in and go, well, why can't I get 0% interest on this car? And my response was, you have to understand that the reason they offer 0% interest is because there's zero interest in that car. Okay. If nobody wants the damn thing, then you have to come up with some crazy ways to make it seem worthwhile. So, yes, Stellantis products, pretty big incentives. A number of GM products, big incentives. A number of Ford products, big incentives. All the brands that have above average new car inventory levels have incentives.
Yep.
The brands that the people want have next to nothing in incentives. So that part hasn't changed.
I agree with you.
It just seems to be, incentive spend is going up, but it's going up for the cars that nobody wants. And we see it in the comments when we do videos about that, and people go, well, no wonder who wants, a Ford is crap, or who wants a Dodge, or who wants well, obviously there's people out there that do. They're just not quite as motivated as the people who want a Toyota or a Honda or a Hyundai or a Kia or a Subaru. So yes, manufacturers can improve the market by improving incentives, but those incentives are going on the vehicles that are the least desirous.
I wonder what will happen with the Chevy Trax. That's a nearly $20,000 new vehicle.
Yes.
I wonder if we're going to see the dealers add markups to that, kind of like we saw with the Maverick. So I wonder if more affordable new cars, even in small quantities, will capture more market share from some of these. Like we did a video about how Buick is capturing market share from Toyota, how Mazda's capturing market share from Toyota. Like it is happening. Like Toyota sales, new car sales were down significantly year over year because customers are fed up and they're going with other brands. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see that force the hand of these OEMs that have a hell of a lot of Elantras, like Buick from Toyota. There you go. From these OEMs who are taking the stance of we're going to produce for your vehicle. So this is not going to happen overnight. It's going to be pretty slow, with the exception of Stellantis. Stellantis is moving very fast. They have way overloaded their dealers with inventory, and that's the area where you can go find yourself a deal. Speaking of finding a deal, Dad.
Yes.
Justin did a great job. We have on the CarEdge.com/guides how to negotiate car prices and examples. This is an entire guide, literally just walking you through success stories from our community forum. So please, if you're going to go buy a car anytime soon and you don't want to sign up for anything, I don't blame you. But go read about how other folks were able to have awesome success stories, truly awesome success stories. This is the type of stuff that if you know these things, like Dad, the one down here at the bottom, let me keep scrolling. The email worth $1,700. I don't know about you, Dad, but I'll send any email if it nets me $1,700. I
Well,
like seeing stuff
knowing
like
me,
that.
I'd send the email if it net me $17. I don't want to suggest that I'm cheap. I'm not even frugal, but for $17, I would send an email.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. All right, Pops, let's switch gears here for a moment. I want to turn our attention to a comment that came through in the chat that I think is really important. Steve-O says maintenance and repair is becoming a big deal. Many
Yes.
keep driving older cars to the point that they break and don't run, no preventative maintenance. I think Steve-O's spot on here. I think Steve-O's got a really good point, and I will share this with everyone. I got a call last week. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, we sell vehicle service contracts, which are
Yes.
extended warranties, colloquially called extended warranties. And before you call us out for you guys must be scammers because you sell extended warranties, use it to negotiate with dealers. The company we work with, AUL, good company. We feel great about this. We've been with them for years. I got word, Dad, we're going to face our first inflationary, not our first, but our most recent inflationary price increase.
Yeah.
It goes into effect next month. So the reason I bring that up is because Steve-O's right. The prices to maintain cars, if extended warranty prices, which again, whether you think they're a good product or bad product, it's actuaries. It's like insurance. It's actuaries behind the scenes saying this is how much it's going to cost. We want to make sure we make 10%. Like if they're raising the prices because of inflation and they're raising the prices to us, they're raising the prices to everyone, that means it's costing more money to maintain these older
Oh,
vehicles.
absolutely.
That's a huge deal.
Absolutely. And the average age of cars on the road today is higher than it's ever been. What was it? 13.8 years is
Yeah.
the average age for a sedan or and SUVs were like 11 or 10.8. I mean, it's the amount of time people keep vehicles on the road is much greater than it's ever been. And it's greater than it's ever been because you can't buy yourself an inexpensive, newer car. And at a certain point, yes, they're going to break down and continue to break down to the point where they're no longer usable. I know, I think it was CNN did a story recently about where do all our old gas guzzlers go and a lot of our older trades. Well, they make their way to West Africa. And I remember, when I was working at the mini store and people would want to come in and they want to buy some of our pre-owned used cars so they could just take them to the port in Baltimore and ship them to Africa because that's
Wow.
where there's money to be made on those cars. So they take the absolute crap vehicles, pay cash for them and put them on a boat and send them to these poor unsuspecting people in these West African countries that are desperate for some form of transportation. And the truth of the matter is we need more and more of those vehicles in this country because there's more and more people in this country that can no longer afford to buy a pre-owned car.
Plus one to that.
Yeah, I mean, and Brandon at Car Questions Answered, I mean, he deals with those cars all day long. That's his market. That's what he's looking for. Those are his customers. And he has a tough time coming up with cars. You went with him to the auction a few weeks ago. You
Yep.
saw what it's like. And he's paying more today for the cars that he's buying than he ever has. And it's not because the cars are any better. In many cases, they're worse. But it's just that's what it takes in order to be able to buy one at the auction today. It's a terrible situation. It really is.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. All right, so let's then, Dad, let's put a little fun twist on today's show because we've been talking a lot about the affordability crisis. And
Yes.
Let's switch gears.
Okay.
Can you give me a quick ad lib?
Really? You got to be kidding me.
All right, so I appreciate that was a good one.
Yeah.
I appreciate the team over at Jalopnik. They always have interesting articles. Today's Dad is these are the cars that look like animals.
Okay.
What animal do you think the BMW, the new iX, looks like?
I look at that every time and I just think of Bugs Bunny.
I think of Bugs Bunny.
I think of Bugs Bunny's big ass teeth, bats, big ass teeth. Those giant Yeah, I mean, it's just got the look of Bugs Bunny to me, but that's just me.
We've
What do
got
you
the
see?
capybara, Dad.
Oh, wow.
The BMW iX looking like the capybara. All right, let's do the
Okay.
next one. We've got the Chevy Spark, Dad, as a stuffed hamster.
Wow.
I kind of see it.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Next slide. The Mazda Miata as a catfish. That I see.
You see that?
Don't you see
Yeah.
the catfish right there?
No. Well, what do I know? Oh my goodness gracious. Wow.
I see the catfish resemblance. Let's do another one here. Alexis as a chihuahua.
Yes. How do you
I'm not seeing
spell
it.
Chihuahua?
We're going to the next one.
D-O-G.
The
D-O-G.
M3, M4, Dad. And
Yeah.
these grills just are to each
Yeah.
their own. A beaver.
Yeah, well, or Bugs Bunny. I'm telling you.
We got a couple more. Let's see.
Yeah.
Ferrari 458 Speciale.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Big Head. Oh gosh. You seeing
I
that? I'm not
I
seeing
don't
that.
see that. I don't see. I'm sorry.
The Honda CRZ as a Bull Terrier. Now that one, we're gonna end on this one. That is spot on.
Yes, there you have it. Okay. Which one has the worst bite? Uh,
Hey man, we're talking about affordability crisis all day. We got to lighten it up just a little bit.
yeah, and you did indeed.
Every once in a while, pops. All right,
Yeah.
I mentioned the CarEdge report before. I want to pull it back up on the screen. We talked about this on Saturday night. It is brand new. Pull it up on the screen so we can run one really quickly. Go into your CarEdge account, click on
Yes,
CarEdge report. Free for a limited time, so take advantage of that. I've ran a ton of them.
you have.
I really have. So we'll just view
Yeah.
one of the ones that I had run in the past. I don't know, sure, this Silverado. All sorts of great information on these CarEdge reports when you view them. I think my favorite part, Dad,
Yes.
probably, I don't know if it's this part. This is showing me how the vehicle compares to other vehicles that are actively listed for sale within a
Yes.
200-mile radius. I like that. The thing I think I like the most, I'm going to scroll down. When I get into the vehicle comparison or the market comparison, it tells me how it ranks in terms of price,
Wow.
mileage, and age, days on market. And then I can see all the other vehicles here and actually click through if I wanted to and go view the listing. So,
Wow.
I
Very
think that's
cool.
my favorite. That's my favorite part is that I can see that comparison. I think that's very valuable. And I want everyone, if you haven't already, please go run one of these and please share your feedback with us.
Yes. Yes. I believe we just had a meeting in regards to the CarEdge reports, and there is great value there, and it is a tool that knowing your team will only, like a fine wine, will only get better with age. You will figure out ways to make it even more pertinent and more useful for a customer, so that they have a much better understanding as to where they should be price wise within the market. And anything that we can do that helps save people money, I'm in on. And that is the CarEdge report is probably the greatest thing that you and your team have come up with yet to help people save money.
Thank you for that, Pops. I really appreciate it. All right, here's the deal. Like that fine wine that gets better with age, we do
Yes.
too. We'll be back tomorrow. At what
We'll,
time?
we'll be back at midnight Manila, 6 a.m. Honolulu, 8 a.m. in Alaska. For those of you residing in California, it'll be 9 a.m. California time. And those of us on the East Coast will be back here at noon tomorrow.
Justice is right. Second grade car coaches are the greatest things. So again, if you are
They are
unfamiliar,
the car coaches
yeah.
are the greatest things since sliced bread. They
Pops,
really are.
question for you.
Yes.
Question for you in the chat.
Yes.
On Saturday,
Yes.
we offer car coach services every day except for Sunday.
Yes.
On Saturday, how many people do you think we helped with car deals? Don't guess too high. Don't guess too high.
127.
Ooh, good guess. Any guesses from the chat? If you're unfamiliar, again, CarEdge Coach, we live chat with people, do emails, help people negotiate car deals all week long. We got 127 from Pops.
That's
Mark
my
Miller
guess.
just says, "Tell us." Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah.
Phil pulled the numbers at 115 people. I wish it was 220.
Yeah,
115 car deals that we were working on over the
just on
weekend.
Saturday.
117. Yeah, just on Saturday. Just
Wow.
on Saturday. So let that sink in. There's a great team behind the scenes. There's a reason. Justice is right. They are the greatest. Very proud of them and their efforts.
They are indeed. They do yeoman's work, to say the least.
They really do. All right,
Yes.
Pops, let's call it a show, and we'll be back tomorrow.
You need me to pick up anything for you at the Acme? I'm on my way.
Go enjoy the food store. I love you.
I love you too. I'll see you back here tomorrow at noon Eastern. Thanks,
9
everybody,
Pacific.
for being here today.
Midnight and midnight.